Are we live now?
It still doesn't show it on mine.
Oh yeah, Deanne just posted the link in the chat.
Usually it shows the bar up on the top of my screen says we're live, but it's not showing that on mine today.
I see it on mine.
I'm on a different computer, so maybe that's why.
The link in the chat.
Usually it shows the bar.
So it's updated on the website also.
Okay. Let's go ahead and call to order at 5:56. Does anyone have anything they want to revise or prioritize on the agenda?
Do we want to add those meeting minutes that I sent out?
Yeah, let's do that. Which ones? They were.
So it is May 11th regular meeting or May 19th special.
May 19th special. Okay. And then August 4th and August 26th. Okay. Can I get a motion to add those?
I make a motion to add approval of minutes from May 11th regular meeting and May 19th special meeting.
I'll second.
And Mindy, you're taking notes, right?
All right, so the motion on the table is to add approving the May 11th and May 19th meeting minutes to this agenda and was seconded, so roll call vote. Jennifer, yes or no?
Yes.
Mindy?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes.
Missy?
Yes.
And Paula?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right, so the motion passes. Any other revisions or prioritizations to the agenda? Seeing none, the motion, like the agenda, is approved as amended. And then on to approving the prior meeting minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read all of them? Or do you need a couple minutes? Okay, so the first ones, how do we want to do this? Do we want to go through each one and then make a big motion of all of them?
I think that's what we've done prior.
Okay.
Unless they end up having changes.
Well, you can still do approve. Well, that's true. Okay. All right, so the May 11th meeting minutes. Did anyone have any revisions to that one? I had just one on the first page. I think it said the retirement and going away presents for, I think was supposed to be Janet, but it says Janie.
Yeah.
Any other corrections to those meeting minutes? If not, does anyone want to make a motion to approve as revised?
I'll make a motion to approve that date's minutes as revised.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
And Paula, second. Okay. Then let's go, well, okay, fine. All right, roll call vote to approve the May 11th regular meeting minutes. The motion is to approve as revised and was seconded. Jennifer, yes or no?
Yes.
Mindy, yes or no?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And Paige?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Missy?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Okay, so those minutes are approved. And then on to the May 19th special meeting minutes. Did anyone have any corrections to those?
Well, I guess in the members present, since Casey made the motion to approve the agenda, she missed the meeting. So she needs to be added to the members present.
Okay, I guess that might be helpful. If there are no other corrections, does anyone want to make a motion to approve those ones?
I'll make a motion to approve those dates minutes as revised.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second
Who seconded?
Jennifer.
Okay, roll call vote on that. Jennifer,
Yes.
Mindy,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Missy,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. I'm not forgetting anyone, right? Okay. All right, and then on to, oh, sorry. The motion passes and the May 19th special meeting minutes are approved as revised. On to the August 4th meeting minutes. Did anyone have any corrections on those?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes as written.
And can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion on the table is to approve the August 4th regular meeting minutes as written. Roll call vote. Jennifer?
Yes.
Mindy?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Missy?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right, the last ones are for the August 26th special meeting minutes. Did anyone have any revisions for that?
I think I emailed Mindy that I was not listed as a member present, that I needed to be listed as that.
Yes, and I went in and fixed those. I fixed that.
Yeah.
So was that a revision or it was done ahead of time? Did we amend it?
I would say done ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't get the revision sent out to us, so.
Oh,
Right.
I guess that's true.
Okay, so I make a motion to accept those minutes as amended.
And can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Jennifer?
Yes.
Mindy?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Missy?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So the August 26th special meeting minutes are approved as amended. Okay. All right. Public input. Did anyone receive anything for public input?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My sixth graders have asked me to come to the board to see if they can wear their blue ribbon shirts on Fridays.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Did anyone else have any other public input? No? Okay. Next item is PTO update. We haven't, PTO hasn't met again, has we have? Oh, you're not on PTO anymore. You're not on PTO anymore.
On PTO.
Me.
No, I mean, as the
Oh,
staff.
Jennifer.
Oh, Miss Stanvik.
Mhm.
yes, there you go. When did we meet last? Did we meet? I mean, we did meet. Maybe it was after APB. It was probably after APB. Okay, what did we do? We are not doing milk and popcorn yet because we don't know what's going on with COVID and everything. So we're not doing those for now. Fleece, we had an order out the last 2 weeks, I think, and it's due tomorrow. We're probably going to do spirit wear as well, but don't have that open yet. We're working with Scholastic on some kind of book fair, but they are not doing physical book fairs up here anymore because they don't want to send all the stuff and do all the shipping. So it looks like what we'll have instead is a not virtual. They'll give us a book fair flyer, like a club flyer, but it's book fair flyer. And then they'll send us up one book sample for each book in the flyer that we can put up on display. Basically, people can walk around and be like, I want these books, and then go to a Google document and say what books they want. And then we'll have to put in like a mass order, and then they'll ship the order up to us. So that's going to be different. What else? I don't think other than that we have too much going on right now.
We have elections, right? Coming up.
Oh yeah, next Wednesday we have elections. There are normal spring ones, but we didn't receive any applicants in the spring. I don't know if we've received any currently, but next Wednesday is our next meeting in PTO elections. And I think that's really it. Next item is principal report. Does anyone have anything? Sorry. Go ahead, Dee.
Does anyone have any questions on the information that I sent out?
I did. I was looking at the test results, and maybe I just wasn't thinking very clearly, but I was looking at is it the whisker plot graph, where it's got the blue bar and then the line and then the dot. What is the blue line for? Because on some of the scores, like the whisker and the dot were way out of the blue line. So I didn't know what the blue line was.
I can't tell you why the blue line with the dot is ever outside. I mean, the circle with the line through it is ever outside of the
Yeah,
blue
that
dot
makes
or the
sense.
blue line. And so maybe Mindy, you can sort of explain that. It shows that for fifth grade, and I highly doubt that the mean or average score for all students for our school was higher than our highest score.
That's why I didn't understand it.
Just a minute. I had to pull it up. I don't have it pulled up.
Jennifer, what part again were you asking about? The box and whiskers? I don't see.
It's the second page of each summary report.
Okay.
So actually it would be,
Skill scores, score summary.
So-
like,
And so you're
would be-
asking what?
so if you look at the spring 2021 report, she's talking about page 2 of 6.
Mm-hmm.
so if you
But
look
what
at,
was,
like, 5th grade, the blue bar just barely hits the line that starts, but doesn't like come up to the middle,
mhm.
which should be the average. So I didn't understand why the blue bar wouldn't have gone at least to the average or not, or past it like it does on all the others.
So I think the lines are the standard deviations
Mhm.
that you might expect, but it doesn't sort of give a true representation of those. So what I didn't give you were the individual scores, because obviously those have identifying information. It's just a whole composite for the class.
It just didn't make sense to me, and I wasn't sure if it was just me not understanding it or if it was a little bit more, because there was one of them that was like even way more outside, I thought.
Yeah, and it's for the 5th grade math also, page 5 of 6, probably.
Yeah. Not that big a deal, I guess. I just wondered if somebody could explain it to me so I could understand it better.
So it says that the blue line or the colored bar is the median number. And the median is the middle of a list of numbers. So if you have 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 7, 7, 9, 9, 20, 25, your median number is going to be 5. So your colored bar is going to stop at 5. But that doesn't mean it's the average of all the scores. That's the circle is the average of all the scores. So if you average a bunch of low numbers with high numbers, but there were a lot of 5, and that's your median, your average could be 10. So your dot's going to be outside your bar, if that makes sense.
We're saying the kids who scored high scored really high.
Or just that there was you could have even been in the same, because so it's telling you the number 2 in the column before that. It does have the median / the mean. So it's telling you that the median is 540, but that average, I guess that makes sense for that one. So like the one in grade 5, it's saying the median is 525. So that just means that your middle number of however many tests were taken fell at 525, but that the average of all the numbers came out to 534, which is outside the blue bar.
I know that we have an agenda item that talks about looking at our scores. Cheryl, your comment about students who scored high, I do want to share with you that in every grade level, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, we had at least 2 students who scored the maximum point possible, which was a 600.
That's awesome.
Yes. And the majority of that was in math, but we did have some students in language arts score a full 600.
Wow. Any other questions on Deanne's principal's report for topics that are not on an agenda item already? What is ASD requiring all the teachers to maintain Canvas? Is that just because you might have to go online?
That's one of the reasons, but they're sort of wanting to standardize communications between teachers and students, so that no matter kind of where a student is at in elementary school, if they transfer to another program, and then also for parents with students in multiple schools, that there's one sort of mode of communicating to with parents as far as school work is concerned. So they're trying to, just like sort of what they do with their curriculum, is kind of standardize things, so parents aren't having to learn Google or Canvas or Microsoft, different types of platforms for school to home communications.
Are they doing that for all the charter schools as well, all the charter school teachers?
Mm-hmm.
And is it just classroom teachers, or is it all the special teachers as well?
We've asked our special teachers to do the same, but what they've chosen to do was sort of what they did last year, was to push out information to the individual classrooms. So if music has something going on with in their communications, they're having the individual grade level teacher put that information up on their Canvas page.
And then I know that on there it shows the Canvas champion. That was Molly last year, right?
Molly and Mindy shared that. The district allowed us to have 2. This year they've only asked for 1 based on school size.
So is that Mindy again then?
Any other questions for Deanne? Anything else you needed to share with us?
We are still also looking for 2 interventionist TAs. So if you know anyone who would like to work with us, we do have a healthy need for 2 individuals and to work with our kids for math and language arts.
Okay. Are we good on that item? Moving on to Special Standards Committee is tabled. And then next is Hiring Committee update.
We have hired a 4th grade TA. Amanda she started this morning. So we are fully staffed in that realm as far as our TAs are concerned. I am working with an individual to get a educational service agreement through the purchasing department for a technology instructor. In the meantime, we have a very courageous parent with some technology skills who's agreed to volunteer to cover our technology classes through the month of September while we're working through that paperwork with our vendor to earn his school service hours. So that was a very generous offer from this parent to lend his expertise and super appreciative of the fact that he's willing to work with our kindergarten through sixth graders because there's such a spread of ability with technology. And so we're really fortunate somebody stepped up to fill in that. We haven't been able to fill those positions with any substitutes as of yet.
So if you get all this paperwork filled out for the educational service agreement, is that something that would have to be redone every year? Or if the person or group or whatever that you get it set up with? Or is it once we get it, we're good and we can just use that forever?
Those are things that are renewed on an annual basis with the district. So at this time, I'm doing it sort of on a semester basis. So I have an agreement that goes through the end of the first semester. And then as we get toward December, what we'll do is we'll enter into another contract. So it's quite a lengthy process as far as the paperwork is concerned to begin with. But for her to renew that in the future is pretty simple. It's just like registering your kiddos for school. That first year when they're in kindergarten, there's all that paperwork you have to fill out. And then after that, you can do the online registration and it goes a lot quicker.
And so does she have like a tutoring business or something, or like what is her experience?
She has private sector experience in working with technology. She also has been working in the district in other capacities. I believe as a volleyball coach and things. So we have been talking about our technology standards and what those look like and what types of lesson plans and activities she would be responsible for as far as the grading and all of those things. So she does have to have a business license. The other requirement for the district is the fingerprinting and background check, and also requiring personal liability insurance so that she is covered in case anything happens as a vendor working with students.
Anything else on hiring committee update? Next is the 7th and 8th grade expansion committee update. We are approved officially by the state. So that's exciting. And then we are working on putting together a final presentation for the APB for our next APB meeting of everything that we've put together with standards and curriculum suggested and schedule and all of that for everyone to review at our next October meeting. Any questions on that?
Will you just remind me, I can't remember how the timing of that works. Like, were we thinking that we would hire, assuming we got approved, we would hire somebody this year so that they could start working on it, so that we would start with the 7th grade next year? Is that the plan?
What Deanne explained to us last time was as soon as we get that APB approval, then she can start putting jobs out there and people can enter into a hire agreement for the next year, but they wouldn't start this year. So they could be teaching somewhere else this school year, but if they were interested in coming to our school, they could make that agreement that they are coming to our school next year, but they would finish out this year where they're at.
But will we start 7th grade students next year?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason I had thought we had talked about trying to have them on staff so they could be working on getting the whole everything all set up. And then the next year.
I think we talked about hiring 7th and 8th grade at the same time so that they would both be
okay, that might be what I was
there at the same time.
Okay, that's why I was getting confused on when it would actually start.
And I would like to encourage us to be able to advertise and put out our positions on the ASD website via, what is it called?
Track.
Apple-Track, way ahead of ASD staffing.
Which is in like March.
Which is in March. Mm-hmm. But they start that process in February. It would be nice for us to be able to have our job positions out there and be able to interview and hire before then.
Which is why we want to get it to you guys for the next meeting. So then we can put it out to the public as well to look at, and then come back at the November meeting for a vote. Any other questions on that? All right, next, we don't have an election going on right now, so we don't need that one. We had no old business, surprisingly. And then on to new business. The first item is review overall results of standardized tests. And then Deanne had sent us the 2018-19 and 2020-21 scores.
So in your review of those scores, did anything jump out at anyone?
They were super awesome. That when you compare the not proficient in our school compared to the district and the state, it's like cut in half.
Yes, our 3rd grade and our 6th grade did particularly well in outdistancing their cohorts in the district and the state.
And I'm impressed that we could do that even in a pandemic year with mostly online learning.
That speaks to something very strong about our school and our curriculum and our staff and our students. all it's a package deal, but I don't know why more people don't see it.
We did see a slight dip in our overall percentage for proficient and advanced. And we did sort of anticipate that with the fact that more than or about 2/3 of our school year was online, and it was quite challenging for everyone, teachers, students, and parents involved, to keep the pace that we normally keep with our curriculum. But that being said, I think that was reflected kind of overall across the board for everybody. I do have some percentages as far as looking at students who were new to Eagle Academy and our returning students. I will be sharing some of that information with the teachers during our half day that we put aside to take a look at our test results. So we'll be, hopefully looking at our FastBridge, our MAP, and then our PEAKS results, and trying to figure out a plan for some of our students who are going to need additional support, and those who were not proficient. A lot of our kiddos who were not proficient were about 10, between 1 and 10 points away from being proficient. So we're looking at the difference between 1 or 2 questions on an assessment. And then, like I said, I was super thrilled to see that we had 2 students in the 3rd grade score a perfect score for math, 2 students in the 4th grade, perfect score for math, 1 student in language arts in the 5th grade, and 2 students in math in the 5th grade, and then also 2 students in 6th grade for language arts, surprisingly not math. And we're so close. I do sort of challenge the kiddos in the class to be the first class in Eagle Academy history to have 100% of their students proficient or advanced in their cohort. And some of them take it seriously, but I think it is possible.
Any questions for Deanne? All right, are we good to go to the next topic? Next is the annual document review of charter, bylaws, policies, and procedures. This we did last year, but we did it after our fall election. And we did it as a work session. Do we want to do that again? Do you all want to read them on your own time and just ask questions if you have them? What do you want to do?
Are we gonna have to change and update some of this stuff because we're adding 7th and 8th grade?
I would say yes, but I would say that's a bigger project than this item at this time of year.
Well, that's just what I was saying, that
Yeah.
maybe you just say, everyone, make sure you read these, and
Yes.
we'll be
going through it more later.
'cause
Yes.
we've got more to work.
Yes.
All right. So if everyone is good with that, then the charter and the bylaws, those are items that we can't change anyway without going through the district and possibly the state, depending on what we're trying to change. So that's, they're both on the website on the APB tab if you want to go read those so that you're familiar with how the meetings work, and if you haven't read the charter yet, really in depth of the school. And then the policies and procedures is on the website on the families tab, and that's pretty in depth as well if you've never read through that. And that is something that we can change without having to go, depending, as long as it's not like a really extreme policy that we're changing. That is something that we can make edits to if necessary without going through the district and the state. So those are out there if you want to go take a look at them. Then the next item is reviewing the parent orientation slideshow. This is just something that we kind of do every year to make sure we're still good with the slideshow and the content in it. And then I think Deanne sent out a copy of that in PDF if you all want to look at it.
Ian, when I'm looking at it right now, and the glimpse of instruction, it's just black boxes right now. Is that because of the way it was sent?
Yes, so the PowerPoint itself was way too big for me to be able to send that because of the district's maximum file size.
Mm-hmm.
So the blank boxes are those little videos that I took of your instruction, because we did our parent tours last year via Zoom.
Right.
And so those are just those little video clips of either language arts or math instruction. So
Okay.
phonograms and spelling dictation, those sorts of things.
The only thing I would suggest, and this might be just like a work in progress, but we've got a lot of old pictures on here, like staff that have been gone for a while. And just that maybe, we try to, through this year, take some pictures and update.
On our test results.
Mm-hmm. Adding the latest results. But I mean, I think it looks good. It sounds good.
Would you say that one of the biggest issues that parents have when they come into our school is the amount of homework that they have, that their students end up with?
I do not get any feedback, positive or negative, about homework or the amount of homework. We do go over, the expectation that students do have homework daily, and we talk about the fact that it's not necessarily busy work, but it is things that further the instruction that's been going on during class time. And so, that it is really important for parents to make sure that kids are doing their homework daily. I mean, like always, we do have some families that struggle to get it all done.
I thought that I had remembered hearing that was an issue of when families started at our school, especially with all the COVID stuff, and then they found out how much work it was at our school and the homework on top of it. And so I just wondered if on the homework page, just because it says that there's homework assigned at each level, but I didn't know if, because we have it listed that, it's up to an hour of homework a night or something, just to indicate what that is, or whether you feel it's covered enough and it's not an issue.
I think it's always a shock when the rubber hits the road, the reality of how much work it is. And so there are some families who um, last year had a really hard time with that. And when kids do leave at the beginning of the year, if we do have kiddos that are pulling out, I think it's typically because of the workload.
So if that's the case, it might be a good heads up to say, yes, there is daily homework and specify what that could look like for a kindergartner versus a third grader versus a sixth grader. Because I know that like my nieces and nephews, they have typically had like a homework packet that their job is to complete it by the end of the week. But it's up to them to do whenever. And it's like what our kids would have in one night, but they do it all week long. So,
Well, and I think even more importantly to go with that, especially for the younger grades, is that parents need to be involved. That's so important. And I kind of like at my open house, I talk about how, we're a team. So, and I, tell parents how they need to be involved to help their child. And I do let them know that, if you're new to Eagle Academy, it's going to take you a few weeks, a month to get acclimated to the routine and the process of the homework. But really, if I've ever had anybody complain, within a month or so, they've got the hang of it and the kids get the hang of it and they know what they're doing, and then it's fine.
Missy or Mindy, do you want to, or Jennifer, do you want to work with me to revise that slide?
sure.
Okay.
And I see our National Blue Ribbon logo. Do we want to add that on the slide of the program highlights where it says we were the highest ranked on the Alaska School Performance Index in 2014? Maybe add a new one now that says we got the blue ribbon for, I always forget the right words, high exemplary excellence or whatever that term is.
Super awesomeness.
And it won't be long. We'll be a Spalding accredited school.
Oh yeah. Anything else on the PowerPoint, or are we good with that one?
Do you think there's going to be a sixth grade field trip this year?
I have not heard anything on field trips in particular.
I have.
Have you?
We don't get to go get our salmon eggs at the hatchery.
Again?
I can go get them, but I can't take my students on a field trip. Like if I wanted to bring my class without a guided tour, I could, but they're not providing that anymore. But I really hope we get to release them on Outdoor Learning Day, because I'm going to go get them. We're going to raise them in the classroom, but it's always fun to go and learn about the salmon at the hatchery.
I just wonder if maybe something on there, because we don't want to put it on there that, hey, we're doing this sixth grade field trip, maybe COVID allowing or something, because it's going to depend on that maybe.
Well, we usually keep it like consistent so that she can use it every year without having to make lots of edits every year.
Yeah, but like if we're showing it, people are going to say that and say, oh, you're going to do that field trip. So,
Well,
I don't know,
But she can verbally say that.
That's true.
If anything changed due to COVID, I did go off script to say pre-COVID, this is what we had been doing, and sometime in the near future, we hope to be able to get back to that. But at this time, those types of activities are on hold.
Okay, anything else on PowerPoint, or are we good? Next is review the principal evaluation criteria / template. I'm going to table that one for the next one because Casey did a nice job for us last fall when we were going through the process, and she went through and kind of edited the whole thing. And I was like, well, I really appreciate that, but we can't use it because we're already in the middle of it. So I did want to send that out to everyone to compare the old one and what she had gone through and revised and see if we like the changes. But I didn't have time to finish it. So I'm going to table that for the next meeting, and I'll get that
And
sent
that's
out.
something that current staff members can still help us put together the evaluation, right? They can't participate in the evaluation, but they can help us work with
The criteria.
Yeah.
I think they did before when we put like the staff evaluation that we send out. I think they helped with that.
It might also be helpful to ask our teachers if they have suggestions on questions that would make more help for them to accurately evaluate instead of just what we think, since none of us that are doing the evaluation are staff members, if we want to adjust those as well when we're doing the same thing to evaluate the staff survey.
Okay. Next item is Open Meetings Act training. I think Deanne has maybe more details than I have. So the Open Meetings Act training is about the Alaska Open Meetings Act, and it's for meetings of public entities, which is what we are, and what guidelines and rules we have to follow. So ASD really likes everyone to take this training every year, even if they've already taken it. And I guess this year it's going to be on a Saturday, October 9th at Highland Tech. Is that right?
Yes. So remember how it used to be separate, where they had an evening session with Jimmy Buffett?
Yes.
Yeah. And then there was a Saturday session with all the APC and APB boards from ASD, and sometimes they invited or other charter school boards from around the state.
Yeah, and they're usually two totally like separate times, right? Like I think we've done this in the fall, and then like the charter school thing, I think one year was in January, one year was a different time.
Yeah. So this year, our new charter school supervisor combined those so that the APB isn't going to multiple trainings at different times of the year. So they're doing theirs. So they always do one for principals on Friday, and then one for principals and their APB members on Saturday. And so this year it's going to be October 8th is the principal meeting. That's Friday at Highland Academy. And then October 9th is the APC, APB, and principals meeting at Highland, which will also include the Opens Meeting Act.
Okay.
Or Open Meetings Act. Yeah.
Do you know what time?
And yep, 9 to 3:30. And they are just requesting that everybody wear their masks, or requiring everyone to wear masks.
Okay, So this training that they usually cover kind of like board work and teamwork and different kind of topics and issues that you might run into as a board. So aside from the Open Meetings Act, they're really usually beneficial meetings to attend. So if you can all make an effort to attend, that would be helpful. Do you have an email you can forward me on that? Or is he going to be sending out? And usually we get them too, or the chairs get them too, so that we know.
I know. I thought you actually got this, but apparently you did not. So I will forward you what I have. And normally they cover things like principal evaluations, the difference between
I've gotten
governance
some of those,
and
but I didn't get this.
yeah. And then if we have any particular topics that you would like them to present on, you can give those to me and I can send them off. They asked, Chris did ask principals that are at our charter school principal meeting next week if we had any topics that we thought would be helpful to give to them, and they'd forward those to AASB for us. So if you have something that you're just dying to learn about, please let me know.
So is this Timmy's group that is coming up and doing this?
Yes. Yeah.
And what is the new charter school director name?
His name is Christopher Barr, and he is the former principal at Rokashula. So we were, or at least the charter school principals, were super happy that they selected someone that had some charter school background.
Any more questions on that? If not, the next item is the ESSER grant funds new expenditures.
I did send with my board packet the current ESSER 2, which is the SURSA Act one. It is the $191,036 grant. We used some of that money this summer for summer school staffing, and that's basically the majority of what you see right now in that category. We do have some money set aside for things like textbooks and supplies. I have asked the Office of Budget and Management to pursue with the state whether or not we can use some of that grant money for storage space for all of the things that had to come out of our classrooms to make space for instruction and social distancing and things like that. And they did finally come back. The state finally came back and said, yes, that would be appropriate. So, my request to you would be to allow me to use some of those funds to go pursue a storage unit at the Eagle storage behind us, so that we can put a lot of those desks and chairs and things that we don't want to surplus back to the district office or the district warehouse, because it might never come back, or it might take us forever to get it back.
Are most of those at most of that stuff in the Connex, the landlord's Connex right now? Did we put stuff in there?
We did put some of that stuff in there. Not all of the stuff that's in that Connex is things that came out of the classroom. Some of it is actually PTO things.
So does that mean that we would have to use the storage unit only for school equipment and stuff and not put anything else in there?
The intent would be to use that storage unit for the things that came out of classrooms.
Well, I'm just wondering
Whether someone shows up to ask us to look in that storage space and have me determine which things are classroom related or instructional related and which things were PTO. Like, we're not going to store Judy Pogue's bed and furniture from the house that she's selling, in there, things like that. That would be totally inappropriate. But school related things, I think instructionally related things would help.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, like, if you put all the stuff that would be the school related things in there and you still had a third of it left, and if the PTO would be able to put their stuff, because it's much more convenient, it's right there, and then perhaps have, I don't know if it would work, like have the PTO pay a small portion of the rental so that they would still be paying for it to have some of that space, if that is something that would be possible, or too much of a complication.
I think what she's saying is that probably no one's going to audit what's in there. And if they do, it will be school items, not people's personal furniture.
What I am saying is anything that we can legitimately show is being stored, because we're trying to mitigate COVID and those situations, because it is a COVID relief grant from the state, then I think that we will be okay. We want to stay within the spirit of the reason we received those funds.
And hopefully as we expand, we'll be able to have a little bit more storage space in our area.
Yes.
Okay, so you want us to approve using the funds to pursue a storage unit, correct?
Correct.
Do we
Are
have
there
any
other
costs
purchases
with
you
that?
expect to need to make with ESSER funds?
I am in the process right now of working with OMB to see what the requirements are for the ARP funds. And I believe that we got close to $400,000 in that. Yep, that's the third one of
Okay.
the ESSER 3 grants. They I would like to suggest that we transfer personnel onto that budget code, because it is allowable for personnel, just like we paid for summer school and things like that. We can actually use that budget code to pay for our classroom teachers. That would open up some room in our general budget. For any other categories that might we would otherwise be short in. At least 20% of that funds, we will specifically have to show that it is being used to address any learning loss that have occurred in our students during COVID. Summer school certainly addresses that. And I would actually, I don't understand why they only asked for 20%. I would have expected that they ask 80%, but 20% of that ARP grant, the third grant, needs to be used toward addressing learning loss.
Which is like $85,623.
We will easily use that for summer school in the next 3 years.
Do you have any idea
So
how
one
much
of the,
for summer school this year?
yes, and that was the majority of the funds that you see allocated in the personnel section. For the general ledger budget code with the account key, and the account key, if you can see, is somewhere here. So this is the account key that actually is the ARP fund. It's not our general fund key, but it's that one. So the one on the top of the page that starts with 251732. And all of the added duty certified and classified and benefits is what happened last summer.
So this, the one that you gave us, the CRRSA Act, if we go to the bottom line, does that tell us essentially what was spent on summer school?
Yes, that and I'm not sure why they're holding back some encumbrances, but it was $39,506. So that was all of the salary and benefits for all of the personnel for summer school. So summer school was not expensive, not inexpensive. Teachers got paid their daily rate based on the number of half days that they worked. So we had, I think, 22 days of summer school, and they were all half days. So they got paid for 11 days, 11 full days. And then the same for all of the TAs and myself and the nurse. And I believe the district was, I can't remember, were they asking us for $900 a student if our students if we didn't do our own summer school? Charter school students who attended an ASD summer school, they were going to charge us about $900 a student.
And did we have one student that did go to the other summer school?
That was not charged. That was an extended school year.
Okay.
And that is paid for by the district. One other possibility that I would like to suggest is our two interventionist TAs have always been temporary employees who are on a year-to-year basis. They get paid minimum wage. And it's extremely hard to find anybody who is willing to give up 4 hours a day, 4 days a week for that amount of funds. We can use some of our CIRSA and ARP funds to actually pay for interventionist TAs and have them hired as full-time or permanent employees for the 3 years. And when the grant runs out, we can choose to not fund those positions with our general funds. That being said, as TAs, they would be paid on the totem pay scale. Which would mean about $5 more an hour, depending on their educational experience.
So would you still want them 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, or would you want them more of like what our other TAs are doing?
I think that we could just use them like we'd use for our interventionist program.
So does that mean the 4 hours a day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week.
We're just having trouble finding anybody who wants to take that those positions. And we really need those positions this year. So I agree. I think if we, make it a little bit more worth their pay, maybe we'll be able to find maybe some parents. We'd love to have parents who are familiar with our program do those positions.
So do we need to make like an official motion that we want to allow Deanne to use the funds in these ways that she's presented, or is it just?
I think yes. Yes. And then the one you want, okay. I feel like we got off on a tangent from when you were talking about you want to suggest transferring the classroom teachers from the general budget to the ESSER grant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that would take all of those funds from our normal budget and put them in the grant budget. Do you have numbers for us to look at? Do you know how much that would be? Would it be all the classroom teachers, a portion of them? It's not going to run out the grant before we can have summer school, is it?
No, it would probably be one of our certificated positions.
Oh, just one of them.
So, yeah.
No. Okay.
So what? Right. I mean, I'm just now putting together the ARP grant, our proposal, because that has to go to the district and then go to the state for approval before we actually get those funds. So I'd like to be able to, I wanted to share with you that that's one of the things that I was looking at, was to use that to supplant some of the funds that we normally use from the general fund account.
Okay, so do you need us to do anything on these items now, or you're letting us know what you're submitting for a proposal, and once that comes back, then we would approve that?
So for the first one that we talked about,
The storage.
And then the second one, or the second one was the teacher one. That one would be for future, when I share with you the budget that I put together for the ARP grant.
Okay.
That doesn't need any action now. But the third one, which is the interventionist TA positions, I would like for you folks to officially let me know you'd like to do that, because that is a large budget impact for that SURSA grant.
Okay, so the second one. The funds will come
Mhm.
out of the second, okay.
Do you have any idea what a ballpark figure would be for what you're thinking of increasing it? You said it would be the five extra dollars and all of that. So like what a ballpark figure for one of those positions would be?
I do not have a ballpark number for that. I can pull up what a 5.5 hour a day TA looks like and let you know that it'd probably be
Less than that.
80% of that, right?
Yeah, because I just have no frame of reference for what we're talking about.
Let me pull up budget proposal. So currently, just salary alone for a 5.5 hour a day, 5-day a week, which equals about 202 days. A TA without not including the benefits would be $17,143. And so you're looking at a 4 hours less days a year. So I'm thinking it would cost us about $10,000. Because you have to also consider that those TAs started in the middle of August. Yeah, we won't have these guys hired till probably the end of September.
And so we're saying roughly it would be $10,000 a position for 1 year, and we would want that for 3 years for 2 positions. So
Mhm.
total roughly $60,000 over the course of 3 years. And
Right.
is the SURSA, does that one sunset before that? So some of it would
Yes.
would make sure to come from the ARP one.
Right. Some of that would expense would be incurred in the SURSA, and then some of that will be incurred during through the ARP grant. At least I think this year's would be on the SURSA, and then in the future we can use the significantly larger ARP grant to cover those expenses.
And that would also help go toward the at least 20% spent to address learning loss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ultimately, I would like to have a little bit more dollars and cents with the other 2 items, which I know that you're working on that stuff right now for the whole ARP thing. But I think this, I'm good with making the commitment to doing this for 3 years for the interventionist TA. So I could make a motion if that's the stage that we're at, unless anybody wants to. I guess we make a motion and then discuss. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I make a motion that we commit to hiring 2 interventionist TAs for the next 3 years and paying them what normal TAs would earn, using the SRSA and the ARP grants as it works itself out.
I second.
I'm not muted, so be quiet. Cohen sassing in the background. I second.
Tell him he's mocking his second grade teacher.
Cohen getting himself in trouble. All right, so the motion on the table is to hire 2 interventionist TAs for the 3 years at regular TA wages paid out of the ESSER grants as they fall. And was seconded. Does anyone have any discussion on that item?
I just want to say that this is, now that we've gotten through testing, we did our universal screening this week. Well, in the process, second grade is done, but kindergarten, first and third, I think, are almost finished. And there is a great need. It is very hard to teach little kids online, and we did that half a year. And it shows with reading scores. And so I just personally, I'm facing levels that I've never faced before being a second grade teacher for 17 years at Eagle Academy. And so I feel like this is a very, very good way to spend our grant money, because there are kids that really need that extra support. I mean, we're very blessed because we've got a TA in our classroom and we get parent help, but it would be nice to have someone consistently there that that can help us with this.
I think it's a good use of grant funds. We're getting what, 400,000 something from the third one. Is that I mean, how are we ever going to spend that if we don't spend it on TAs?
Well, ultimately, we want all of those dollars to go toward improving student outcomes, whether it's health or academics. So I think it's a small amount of funds for us to be able to use to go toward those 2 goals.
Does anyone else have any discussion, or do you all feel ready to vote? Ready to vote?
Call the vote.
All right. Roll call vote. Mindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Missy,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So the motion passes. And then for the other items, once you have gotten approval on what to spend, Deanne, then you'll bring that back to us. Okay. Then the last item is Professional Development Day reschedule.
Did you want me to go ahead and look at a storage unit?
It's better than the hallway or all the PVC pipe outside in the back.
Actually, we did get the truck transfer today, so the books, the hallway looks so much better. and the PVC pipes went to the district office or the district's warehouse. But we still have some chairs and music stands and desks and things.
And then I think you have the info on the professional development day rescheduling.
I would like to propose that we move our September 24th professional development half day to October 8th. The district has sort of thrown us for a little bit of a loop in extending the fast bridge and then moving the map assessments. The fast bridge window is now September 7th through the 23rd. It originally was the 7th through the 17th. And then map is now September 27th to October 8th. Part of that was due to their ability to get proctors. And since they weren't able to hire as many proctors as they thought, they were going to have to extend the window to get all of the testing done. We went ahead and sent our own proctors over to get trained. So we are almost done with our fast bridge assessments, but the window for MAP does not open now to September 27th, which does not get our data back for us to be able to sit down and take a look at all of our assessment information and then start our data wall and figuring out plans for individual students. So if we moved it to October 8th, we should have all of our data for MAP completed or assessments for MAP completed. And so then we can look at our peaks, our fast bridge, and our MAP assessment in classroom assessments for kiddos, and then work from there.
Will that be a problem with the principal training on the 8th?
Yes, it will.
Maybe we'll need to pick another day.
Unless Missy feels like that's something that she could lead. Or we could pick another date. That was a day the teachers recommended.
I mean, that would be fine, but I didn't know if you would want to be there for that.
It would be nice if I was there to get a picture, the whole picture of what's going on and what our plans are. So
I'll let you make that decision then. Either way is fine with me. But
so if we move,
the 15th is not available. The 22nd
Is not available.
not available.
That's why we looked at the 8th. Because it was the only time available at the beginning of October that wouldn't take us till the end of October.
Deanne, is your training on the 8th all day or is it just morning? You know?
it is 8 a.m., 8:30 to 3:30. But I can probably skip out of that at noon and come back over. It's important enough for me to do that. I don't know what's on their agenda, but I can probably certainly catch up to all of that. Let's just keep it on the 8th.
My only other question is changing a half day like that. Do you think that's going to affect and make it a challenge for very many families?
Well, that's why we're talking about it at our meeting right now so that we can get our families enough lead time.
It's,
So information would go out tomorrow.
and otherwise we're wasting everyone's time having a half day when they can't do the planned topic of the half day.
Right. We wouldn't be able to find another day to have the time to work together. I think it's a really important time for us to take a look at the status of all of our kiddos and figure out how we can move some of our mountains and also figure out at that point, hopefully we'll have a better idea of our interventionists and what that program would look like.
And we don't have to get like state board approval since we had to submit them to this state board in the spring.
I don't think that the date was as important as the number of days and what we were going to use them for and where those minutes actually came from to show that we weren't dipping below the number of instructional minutes that they wanted for students overall.
I think as we put it out there that we should make sure that parents understand that it would be not helpful to have the meeting without the information instead of just saying we're rescheduling it, but tell them why it's being rescheduled.
And communicated in a lot of different ways. Facebook, definitely. Newsletters. I think each teacher needs to put it in their newsletter just so that we're covering all the bases.
Do we need to make an official motion for this?
Probably yes, because we made an official motion for the original thing.
The calendar, yeah.
Yes.
I make a motion that we change the data review half day from September 24th, professional development a half day, to October 8th.
I second it.
All right. The motion on the table is to change the, I forget what words you said, something about the data.
Data review.
The data review, professional development half day from 9:24 to 10:08. Roll call vote. Jennifer,
Yes.
Mindy,
Yes.
Missy,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So the motion passes.
Cheryl, did you ask Cheryl?
Oh, I thought I did. Wait, did I ask you?
Yes.
Sorry, I wrote down that I asked you.
I was like sending you those messages, you know. Like she knows.
All right, and then the final item on here is the financial review, which is one of the attachments Deanne sent, the 9/7/21 general ledger. And I think we all, except Paula, are used to seeing these. So Paula, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thanks.
How come our 002 counter is already over on like all the noon duty attendance? Is that stuff from summer school that carried over?
Let me see if I can log in and get you a drill down on that one. I don't know if it has any names on there, but we currently don't have anybody.
Noon duty.
Like there was
In-
nothing budgeted, and so anything spent is over. So I'm just wondering.
Yeah. Let me log into IFAS and see if I can get that drill down.
I appreciate that it's red when it's over.
Oh, so here's what I think. HR has been a little bit behind in designations, and so Diana and I have been working with them on making sure they still show some of our previous employees as current employees, even though they've done their notice of resignation and things like that. Mrs. T.A. Marnie was considered a temp noon attendant, and I believe that for the first few days of school, they charged that budget code for her instead of the TA budget code. So that's probably the only thing that I can kind of think would be for that.
Would that be something they retroactively go back and fix, or is it just going to be off all year?
It's something that we actually have to go in and do a budget transfer for, or sometimes they will, every once in a while they'll be nice and they'll do it for us and just take it off. Since it's something that that they did.
Just because when I do my bookkeeping, I like all my things to
Yeah.
balance.
It is. They charged on 8/20 Marnie Ellman. So for the first week of school, when teachers and TAs first came back, they were charging that that budget code for her instead of the 01 counter teacher assistant, the 1231. So that's something we can ask them to clean up for us right away. And hopefully they'll be able to get to it by, I would say, November.
So they're efficient is what you're saying.
They are extremely overworked right now.
Yeah.
Any other
then-
questions?
And then none of the grant things will ever be on the general ledger, right? Those will be in their own.
No,
Okay.
those are totally separate. I did want to call everybody's attention to what page is it? I guess it's page 1. The 01 counter are 3980 are unallocated adjustments. If you take a look, we have encumbered all of our unused funds from the 2020-2021 school year and moved those into the 3980 counter. And so now the balance in there is just a tad over $2 million. So, we have grown our unallocated reserve quite a bit over the last few years, and may have the potential to grow that even more and start looking at facilities or having that be able to positively impact our facilities.
Awesome. Good job.
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, adjourned at 7:39.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for starting the meeting, Mindy.
Oh, you're so welcome. I was starting to freak out because I'm like, where's Deanne? Where is she? She's never she's always there.
I was sitting in a room all by myself. I don't know which one on my list I picked. I picked one and I was so proud of myself. I got it up on the website super early, and I sat there and I was like, oh no, where is everybody? So I went back to my Zoom and it showed that the right meeting was open. I just didn't realize that you had opened it and I
Oh,
wasn't in that room.
oh, yeah, because I text Paige and I was like, did I go to the wrong one? Sorry, my cat decided he wanted to come on my computer.
Oh, he's
All
a
right.
cutie. All right, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Yes, you will.